Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? The Big Four for this weekend, four big games in the NFL that we're going to look at. I want to keep us up to date on our against the spread. You did better than you did in college, but you didn't do as good as me this week. I was 4-0 for 15-8 overall on the season. You were 3-1 to bring you in at 17-4. So I'm slowly climbing back here and keeping it closer in the NFL. So we're going to start bye weeks this week. The Washington football team, the Arizona Cardinals, Jacksonville Jaguars, and Houston Texans. And an update here from the World Series. Tampa Bay still up 1-0 as the top of the fourth inning gets underway down there in Arlington. So we're going to start in Baltimore. The 6-0 Pittsburgh Steelers, first time they're 6-0 since 1978, I believe. And the last undefeated team as the Seahawks fell this week. Again, at the Baltimore Ravens, 5-1. They're a 4-point home favorite. 47 is the over-under. This one, 1 o'clock on CBS. Man, and I get it. Baltimore's coming off a bye week. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. But if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I do not, and if you know me, you know I do not like talking in any way, shape, or form favorably about any sports team from the city of Pittsburgh. But if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I almost feel insulted that I am a 4-point underdog on the road. Like, I get you're getting 3, give or take, at home. I don't know how that works when there's no crowd, because there is still no crowd in Baltimore, I believe. If I'm the Steelers, I feel a little bit disrespected here. So I am none too happy. So I'm going to jump us off right away, Sean. I am going to go the under because I feel like the Steelers' defense, the best way to win this game is to control the clock, run the ball, and slow the Baltimore offense down. But I'm going to go Steelers not only to cover, they're going to win this game. And I'm actually –
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Steelers going to stay undefeated. I don't like it, but it's going to happen.
Locking it up.
Locking it up early.
Man, you think they're angry and they're embarrassed.
I think they're going to be angry and embarrassed, and I just hope Chase Claypool catches a lot of touchdowns too.
Well, I think those are 3 adjectives that are going to describe the Steelers this week, but I think it's going to be after they lose to the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Ravens end the undefeated stretch for the NFL. I think an extra week to prepare, not to mention the fact speed on defense, great pass rush, that kind of thing. Best way to combat that. Have that speedy quarterback. I think the Ravens have been kind of questioned. I think if the Ravens had been winning games the way that people expected them to, I think the spread is even larger. I think that small spread may kind of wake the Ravens up, be like, look what we're doing here. I like Baltimore's defense. I do like Chase Claypool to have a couple extra catches this week because I think just the type of routes he's going to run, I think they're going to try to get him the ball more. They're going to try to get him involved with the running game. I, too, am going to take the under, however. I think the 2 defenses. Now, could I see it going over if the running game starts to fail in Baltimore and they start heaving it downfield, or let Lamar Jackson be the only one that runs like they should? Maybe. But we're going to take the under. I'm going to take Baltimore to cover. Not going to lock this one because I think I have one coming up. But Ravens end your last undefeated streak in the NFL. All
right, then we go to Miami. It is Tua time as the 5-2 Los Angeles Rams, a 3.5-point road favorite, travel to Miami at 3-3, coming off the bye week. 49 is the over/under on this one. 1 o'clock on Fox. And again, like we talked about last week, excited to see what Tua can do. That's a guy, regardless of who you are a fan of, you can cheer for. But I even with the bye week, I feel like it is a bad choice to start him against this Rams defense, and that Rams offense looks like it's starting to click as well. So I'm going to go with the Rams to win this game. They're also going to cover that 3.5, but I'm actually going to take the under because I feel like Tua is going to struggle in his first game. So I'm actually taking the under the 49 there, Sean.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you here. I'm still, I think you and I are still on the same page as far as the Tua starting. I mean, I get it, but the fact that Fitzpatrick seemed blindsided by now, you think Fitzpatrick would be used to it by now, but like the Fitzpatrick when he was like, when he had his whole press conference, he's like, I'm disappointed or I'm sad or I'm depressed, like whatever his descriptor word was. It was like all these people started writing all these letters to him, like they feel bad for Fitz and like say, I'm like the guy's had this happen to him about 15 times.
Yeah,
like it happened to him more than pretty much anybody. We do have a why are they benching Fitz, and that's kind of was last week.
That was our discussion.
Our
yeah.
point. And the only thing that makes sense is from day one. This was the week.
Right. It was the bye week. It was the bye week.
We're going to have the bye week, and then your job's to get us to. But at that point, why is Fitz surprised by it?
Well, maybe it wasn't maybe they didn't discuss it with him. Maybe it wasn't something like, "Hey, Fitzy, you're going to take us to the like." Why would you do that before the season?
Right, why is he going to try?
Right. Exactly. So, but maybe just internally between the coaching staff and management. They were like, "Hey, we're gonna take you to the bye week, and then we're gonna turn the keys over."
Can you just throw Jake's? Are you able to pull up get his popsicle stick quote, the Deontay Johnson quote on the screen? For those this is hysterical. He followed it up by correcting the spelling and then saying, "I just learned how to spell popsicle." Yeah, we're not popping any sickle cells here. We're not doing any of that. You're not eating that. It's a
popsicle.
It's a dessert treat. It's a popsicle. We're not. If you were to popsicle,
Jake, you could have just blamed it on autocorrect.
Yeah, you should have just.
Because I mean, there's times I'll spell the word like I'll spell food and it'll just change it to hood or something like. Phones.
Well, yeah, I type the word duck a lot.
Yeah, oh yeah. I'm ducking a lot of things, especially
a lot of things.
Especially when I'm talking about the Dallas Cowboys. It's really ducking weird how that works out.
Yeah. You're ducking more than the.
And I feel like I should get a sounder of quacking as well.
But I'm with you on this one. I don't think it's going to be a great start for Tua. I assume we're going to see a few plays. I think he has some escapability, so you may see some chances where the Rams over pursue, and if he can get somebody open, you may see Tua show some glimpses. But yeah, as far as benching Fitzpatrick, especially, in hindsight, like I know you can't change your mind going into this week, but with the Patriots looking as bad as they do, and the Bills winning on field goals against the New York Jets team. It's just, it's got to be killing. Like if you think this team, and I don't think the Dolphins are that bad. I think I was watching, with Jake, I was watching some football the woman, and I think the Dolphins are better than people think. The defense looks pretty good. I think there's some young receivers on that team, and I'm not talking about Parker that show a lot of promise. Not that Parker doesn't. I think Parker's still not quite as good as he was initially advertised or that people think he can be. But I think the rest of that team has some skill players, and Gesicki's great. If they can get a running game behind Tua going forward, I think this could be a good team. But I don't see any reason to change it up. Unfortunately, they are, and unfortunately for Tua, it's at a time where he's got to look across the line at Aaron Donald. And your number one target's going to be looking at Jalen Ramsey, and I don't think it's going to go well for him. I think the Rams defense picks up a score, maybe two. I think the Rams are going to win this with the points. I'm going to take them. I'll take the over just because I think the Rams offense and defense are both going to score points, and maybe Tua does enough to get them there. But as far as covering that spread and winning on the road in Miami, you can lock it up. You're
locking up the Rams?
I'm locking up. If you'd have told me I'd lock up McVay.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
I'd have told you were crazy if you'd have told me I was going to use a lock on McVay at any point this year, but this is the one.
I think that's the right call. All right. Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? Two more. This one was originally going to be the Bears and the Saints, but based on what the Bears did last night, I changed it in the 11th hour. The Bears, ironically enough, are who we thought they were.
Stop it.
Or at least are who I thought they were.
They're who you thought they were.
Yeah, you had that. That's the one you got wrong last week. You bet too hard.
I got a little Foles happy.
You did.
Who could blame me? You know.
Hey, he's hurt me in the past. He has helped you hurt me.
I've put I put a lot of stock in Foles, and I mean, I don't think everything that went wrong in that game is Foles' fault.
No,
there's not a great cast around him, but that's a team that needs. They ask a lot out of that defense every week. They put that defense in some really bad situations, and they, for the most part, have kept teams from scoring. That week, they just couldn't do it.
They could not. But I changed it. I changed it to this one. 3-3 Raiders coming off the bye. They travel to the 5-2 Browns now. Sans Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham out for the year with the torn ACL. But honestly, if you look at that team, Baker's kind of looked better when Odell has not been on the field. Did that hurt one of your fantasy teams?
No, it's going to take more than 1 5-touchdown performance for me to start believing in Baker Mayfield.
I'm not saying I believe, but there's been times during the rest of this season that he has looked better when Odell's not on the field. Because say what you will, you can try. I know Browns fans are going to try and tell me that Odell's a team player and this and that. I think that's a fallacy. I think he is doing the typical number one receiver, bit of a diva receiver. Maybe I'm still mad because I hated him as a Giant.
Doing a Keyshawn Johnson,
but it's one of those that get me the ball, and when he's not out there, he has free reign to kind of go everywhere else. But the Browns 3-point home favorite, 54 is the over/under on this one, 1:00 on CBS. I actually like the Browns here. I like the Browns to cover. That 3-point number is pretty close. If it was 5, 6, 7, maybe I'd tighten it up. Maybe I'd give the edge to the Raiders here, but I think the Browns are going to keep the momentum going, and they're going to get it here. So I have the Browns, and I'm going to take the over.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the 3-point spread in the Texas game. This one a little bit different, but I think there's no reason people are buying Las Vegas right now, especially against teams that are performing well offensively. So I think that 3-point spread is small. I think it wants people to bet on and buy in on the hype of the Browns. Let's not forget that 5-touchdown performance with or without OBJ is against the Bengals defense. The Bengals can score, and you knew you were going to have to score, especially because your defense was almost as porous as Dallas's. You were letting Joe Burrow just kind of move down the field at will. And I think, that was kind of a weird shootout. And I think what came down to it in the end is that game meant a lot more for Cleveland. I kind of talked to, I think, you before the game that if Cleveland loses to Cincinnati, it might be one of those. There's very few losses in the middle of a regular season that could be just franchise crushing. I feel like that would have been pretty close. I think for it. I think when you're a team like the Browns, who people just got used to them being terrible, and then all of a sudden we're going to spend money, we're going to move here. You have all this talent, and it's like we're going to be right there. You know what I mean? Like we're going to challenge, and then you don't, and then we might not challenge, but we're going to be better. I think that loss to Cincinnati, you'd have seen a lot of things flying before the trade deadline. I think it would have been sell. It would have been like a pre-stock market crash scenario in Cleveland, and I think you would have seen him kind of dismantle and try to start over. The performance by Baker was admirable. I think I'll say it was impressive. It's more than I thought he would do, but I hope everybody that plays against me in fantasy picks him up because I don't think there's going to be a repeat performance. I think the Raiders are a good enough defensive team. It's going to be a little harder. I think not having to plan for an Odell Beckham, whatever you want to say about him asking for targets, it's one guy you don't have to account for. Jarvis Landry's already banged up. Rashard Higgins looked good. Some people are going, who's Rashard Higgins? And that's exactly why it's going to be a little tougher out there. They still favorite moment of the Cleveland Browns week is the fact that David Njoku, who complained all year about being behind Hooper, Hooper out, and Njoku didn't start. They just jumped him. They were like, all right, next man up. And Njoku's like, I'm right here. They're like, just next.
Yeah, but he caught at least caught a touchdown.
Go past
there,
the loudmouth. Get in there and play 80% of the snaps. Did get a touchdown out of it, I know. But anyway, I'm going to go the other way on this one. I think the Raiders, I like Derek Carr. I don't love Derek Carr. I do think he's better than Baker Mayfield. I feel like this is the kind of
real
game
high bar on that one.
It's not a very high bar, but he jumped over it. He cleared it. He clipped it on the way. It bounced a little bit, but it stayed up, so it counts. I think this is a great moment for if you're sitting on Henry Ruggs, this could be the game that he gets a deep ball. Gruden's system doesn't give a lot of deep balls, which makes that whole draft pick a little strange. But I think this might be a good one with kind of a banged up Jacobs, a running game that's been kind of sloppy. Maybe they decide to air it out a little bit to create some space. I think it goes over, and I'm taking John Gruden against the Browns.
There you go, Jake. Jake confident. He's with you, Sean. I'm going to give him this one.
I can only get one lock, but give Jake the lock.
I'll give it to him.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Jake wanted the lock. He got the lock. We give him the lock. And then lastly, the 4-3 San Francisco 49ers travel to Seattle to face the 5-1 Seattle Seahawks. They're a 3-point home favorite, 54. Also the over-under on this one at 425 on Fox. Man, for the first time in probably a while, Russell Wilson kind of looked human in this game. In a while.
Okay.
Russell Wilson kind of looked a little bit human there in that game against Arizona. Every team in the West has a better record than every team in the East, by the way. It just shows you how bad the NFC East is. I like the Seattle struggle here, and maybe it's because I just hate Pete Carroll. I don't know, so I'm going to roll with San Francisco not only to beat the spread, but also pick up the win and put Seattle at 5-2, and put San Francisco right back in the hunt there for the division title. And I'm going to take the over 2, also because I have George Kittle, and I'd like him to start scoring touchdowns again, please, that he didn't this past week. So San Francisco and the over.
San Fran and the over. Well, you're wrong. It was cute. It was nice.
Wrong,
but you're wrong.
Wrong.
Look, Russell Wilson, yeah, did he look a little human in that game? Sure. Do I think Arizona's defense is incredibly underrated? Yes. I think that they're a good defensive unit. I think the secondary there is a lot better. You know, when people are talking about secondaries in the NFL, I don't think people really look out in the desert. Maybe it's because the Raiders are there. I don't know. But there is another team out there in Arizona.
There's another desert.
Pretty good. And they have a quarterback that's pretty good. Do I think Kyler Murray is the next Russell Wilson? No, I don't think he's near as good of a thrower as Russell Wilson. I learned a couple things in last week's game. It's that whether or not you think Russell Wilson looked human, he still throws the best deep ball in the NFL. If the throw's over 45 yards, he's going to hit it on a dime. It doesn't matter what you do. Patrick Peterson had perfect coverage twice, and Russell Wilson put it exactly where Patrick Peterson wasn't twice. To two different receivers. It's not like timing with one. It's like it could be Metcalf, it could be Lockett, it could be Moore, it could be Disley.
DK Metcalf isn't human, right? We can at least agree
DK
on
Metcalf,
that one.
Say DK Metcalf one more time. Well, I got to watch J.C. Arcega-Whiteside ride on a bench behind Travis Fulgham. Arcega-Whiteside beyond that fumble recovery this year, I'm not even sure he's been on the field. I don't even know if he has a catch. I'm going to look it up before the end of the show, whether Arcega-Whiteside actually has a catch in a regular season game this year, despite everyone being dead. 2 offensive starters at the end of 2 weeks ago for the Philadelphia Eagles. Arcega-Whiteside not on the field. So back to Russell Wilson. I think the league wants a 49ers win here. I think the league wants you to be right. I think that Vegas wants you to be right. I think some parity in the West is what they want. I think they got that parity last week when Arizona beat them. I think a banged up 49ers team and a team that really hasn't found its identity in its wide receiver core to this point is going to struggle. It's a very porous defense for Seattle, at least for the course of the season. Now, I think they have tightened that up quite a bit. And it's still not great, but I think it's way better than it was. And that defensive front's a lot better than people think it. I think the running game is something that has trouble getting going. So if that's going to kind of be the test, I think if San Francisco has trouble running the ball, it's going to be real hard. And if Seattle has trouble stopping the run, it's going to be very hard. So I do see a scenario where San Francisco wins this game. I don't think it's going to happen because I think even if Seattle has limited control of the ball, they have the right guy for the job. And Russell Wilson, with that deep ball and with his ability to kind of evade pass rushers, I think this is one where Seattle makes the statement out west and comes back as people start to doubt them and says, "Don't forget, we're still the team to beat out here." I'm going to take Seattle. I'm going to take Seattle with the points. And looking at that 54 number, I'm going to go over with you.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I think both these offenses can score. Like I said, for me, it's kind of twofold because I hope it's a bit of George Kittle action because he has been a little not what I expected when I used a keeper on him in one league, but it is what it is. Checking in finally.
Sounds like the year I kept DeMarco Murray for the Titans, and then they were like, "Oh, we have this Derrick Henry guy," and I'm like, "Wait, who? You're going to give him the ball this time?" And DeMarco Murray's just like, I don't have anything.
No, I actually still have a DeMarco Murray Dallas Cowboys jersey.
Good for you.
I forgot he even went to Tennessee. Yeah. Speaking of Tennessee, I know they had a little bit of a comeback there. I think that was more about Pittsburgh laying off the gas. But
was it?
I feel like it was.
Stop doubting Tennessee.
They are not as good as people think they are. I'm going to
close wins are wins.
I'm going to stick to that. They are wins, absolutely, and. Because like the Dallas Cowboys over the years have been a team that loses close games, not wins close games. And I'm not saying Tennessee's not good. I mean, they went to the freaking AFC title game last year, but I think people trying to crown them when they were 5-0, people trying to crown them as the best or one of the best in the AFC.
Okay, first of all, I don't know how many people were claiming they were the best team in the AFC. I mean, if they were the only undefeated team left, you'd have something to stand on, but they weren't even the best undefeated team.
No.
I never said they were better than other teams.
No, absolutely not.
I just was discrediting the fact that you're telling me that they're like you made it sound drastically overrated. I don't think the Titans are drastically overrated. I think they still catch teams by surprise even when they are undefeated. People are like, "Oh, it's just the Titans." They just assume that it's like the Oilers, Titans. Put it this way.
Like, I'm just happy Tannehill's putting up points because when Dak Prescott's ankle exploded, he was my backup quarterback in fantasy, so I'm totally fine with him throwing as many touchdowns as he can. So I
think Ryan Tannehill is proving that he's not the man that was in Miami. He's the man that's in Tennessee.
Yes, I will agree with that.
With an offense that like caters to his needs and actually gives him weapons and a running game to take some pressure off. It's amazing what someone can do when you actually aren't dying every play.
And they are a great comeback team. That's been like the story of the Tennessee Titans since they moved to Tennessee. Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?